Righto, today I'm just going to do a little bit of a test, and I'm going to pull these apart because I'm kind of curious to see what sort of crossovers they've got. But these are a pair of Tannoy Mercury M2 cherries. So these are recommended for amplifiers rated between 10 and 80 watts. You can see these ones have got a couple of, you can just see that, some stains on the front. They've been pretty weather beaten, these old fellas. I have given them a bit of a clean up. They were pretty crappy when I got them, but I basically paid nothing for them, literally a few dollars. And they've scrubbed up pretty well. So what do you get? You get a 1-inch dome. This has got some sort of accretion on it. It's almost like a lacquer. And then the 16.5 centimeter woofer, and obviously bass reflex design. So let's pull these apart. Today I've got these coupled with a Denon AVR 1605. Didn't pay much for this, and it is in just beautiful condition. So these, to me, these were released in, I think these were released in 1997, these Tannoys. And to me they sound quite a little bit woolly, and the bass is really nice, but there's not a lot of high end. So either these tweeters are damaged, which is quite likely, considering if you look at them closely they look a little bit chewed up, and I'll pull the other cover off. And this also has some sort of crud or accretion on the top. Now these domes deflect, so, and these tweeters do work. I'll show you a sine sweep later on. You can definitely hear frequencies up, certainly up between 8 and 10 kilohertz, but there's a little bit of signs of mold. Foam surrounds are absolutely perfect, nice and supple. But let's pull these apart and see if we can see what is going on inside. Okay, easy does it. Alright, one woofer. So it says Tannoy J67X. I know that's upside down, you have to believe me. And plenty of baffling in here, and quite unusually a fair bit of generous speaker wire. So I'm going to dig around, find out what I can see. There's the baffle directly up there. This has got newspaper in it, which is unusual. Anyway, I'll put this camera down and see if I can find the crossover. So this is lovely and thick. One crossover. Pop that down. Kind of got to remember how that goes in. Goes in the top. Leave that at the top. Now, this is not glued in, it's just kind of shoved in. But look at that. What a lovely big sheet. There we have our crossover. Now if I'm going to pull this apart, I may as well pull the whole thing apart. And this one is marked Tannoy 577Y. And I do know that on the second-hand market, these tweeters have an absolute premium. And this one, I'll see if I can get a bit closer, is not in the best condition. So I don't know if that's failed, that accretion on the surface, but it's certainly not looking good. Impedance, 6.3 ohms. Perfect, so right on spec. Okay, so this is a close-up of the crossover, and I'm not going to pull that out. I could check the values of the caps, but I'm not going to as well. So I can see the chokes, the inductor coils at the bottom, got some resistors on the left-hand side, and obviously our filter caps at the top. So they sound okay, it's just that now this amp is running flat at the moment. It's just that the bass sounds very woolly and there's almost no treble. So I'm going to can this and I'll go to a frequency sweep. So I can just hear that, and certainly hear that. getting some fluttering there, so getting some real cone excursion. 45 hertz. Basically nothing below about, I can feel a bit of flutter, but a bit of puffing out the back, but nothing at 40 hertz really. So these are not a bassy speaker, but for a 16.5 centimeter woofer, they're probably doing okay. So really nothing at 34 hertz. So 50 hertz, they're pretty good. And that's really it. So as a parting shot, would I buy these speakers? Well, if you only paid a few dollars for them the way that I did, then I'd say the answer is yes. But to be completely truthful, unless there's something absolutely wrong with these, they sound pretty terrible, and they don't sound anywhere near as good as these Onkyo little plastic bookshelf speakers that would have been part of a kit. PS505, 60 watt, 8 ohm. These actually hammer and sound really good for plastic case. They're quite heavy, so they've got MDF rears, plastic fascias, a 50mm, a tweeter. This one's completely torn. The cones were popped when I got them, and 15 centimeter, yeah, 15 centimeter woofer. And these actually sound good. And I would put them against these Tannoys, which were 140 pounds, which is about, give or take, 300 Australian dollars in 1997. So if you can find a pair for a couple of dollars, sure, pick them up. But otherwise, if these is what they sounded like when they were new, I would say leave them. Now I am going to take the back of this and have a look at the crossover, and I've just discovered that these threads are not metric Allen screws. Damn English. So these are imperial Allen keys. Never seen anything like it. How annoying. Righto, what have we got? Okay, so we've got one big inductor at the bottom. We've got a cap which says 18 microfarads. We've got a couple of smaller caps here. So this is a first order crossover because there's only two speakers. A couple of resistors, 5 watt 6.8 ohms and 5 watt 4.2 ohms. And it's a pretty simple circuit, so I might actually pull it apart and basically scribble this out. And there's a high pass here, 22k, 100 volt capacitor. I'll see what that is, put that in my ESR, see what that is. But I'm kind of curious now, so I've gone this far, why not go the whole hog? Right, our first step is to pull all this crap off. So as I said, we've got an inductor there. I should be able to check that with my little ESR meter, and everything else I'm going to sketch out into a circuit. It's fairly simple, and get the values of those caps, and yeah, we'll sketch it out, see what it looks like. Circuit number 832. You can see we've got a 10 microfarad and a 4.7 microfarad electrolytic cap. Now these are obviously non-polarized. You can also see one inductor at the top and another inductor at the bottom, and two resistors. I'm actually going to put a circuit board up for you, and I'll show you how these two electrolytics test. I've unsoldered these, and I'll show you how they test. Okay, 5.4 microfarads. So that's meant to be 4.7 and it's 5.4. And this one, which is meant to be 10, is 11.3. So that's not too bad. 0.52 ohms of ESR on that one. I forgot what this one was. 0.72 ohms, which is not too bad. So now, if you don't have one of these little unit, component testers, you've got to get one. They're just, oh, fantastic. Don't drop that cap. It's got to go back in the crossover. So I'll also confirm the values of everything else. I'm going to also measure the inductance of these coils as well. See how many millihenries they are. I'm having some trouble testing those inductors, so I'm going to give that a bit of a miss. The good thing when you're soldering this back together is you've got a very clear plus in, plus woofer, plus tweeter, minus tweeter. So you really can't get these connections wrong. There we go. If you're unsure, as I am, which is which, so is the woofer yellow or is the tweeter yellow, all you got to do is get a 1.5 volt battery, put it across the terminals, and tap it, and that is definitely the sound of a woofer. So yellow is a woofer.